History paints a clear picture of the Vikings, ruthless raiders plundering the coasts of Europe from their iconic longships. It's a story we all know. But what if that story is incomplete? What if I told you that some of these Norsemen sailed far beyond the familiar shores of England and France, navigating treacherous rivers and crossing vast seas, not to raid, but to trade, to serve, and in some cases, to find a new faith? Imagine a Viking longship, its dragon-headed prow cutting not through the icy waters of the North Sea, but through the warm waves of the Caspian, under a blazing desert sun. Imagine the haunting echo of an Arabic prayer call reaching the ears of a warrior from Sweden. This isn't fantasy. This is the forgotten history of the Vikings who ventured into the heart of the Islamic world, where they fought not against Muslims, but alongside them as brothers in arms. This is the unbelievable true story of the Viking who became a Muslim warrior. Our journey begins in the 11th century, a time of great upheaval and exploration. From the frosty shores of Sweden, a chieftain named Ingvar, who would later be known as the Far-Traveled, gathered a formidable fleet. 30 longships, carrying hundreds of the fiercest warriors of his generation, set sail, not west, but east. Their goal was to reopen ancient trade routes to the fabled lands of the Saracens, a journey of unimaginable ambition. They were the ultimate adventurers, driven by a thirst for gold, a quest for glory, and an insatiable curiosity about the world beyond their own. Their path took them across the vast expanse of what is now Russia, navigating the great rivers like the Volga. They were no longer just raiders. They were traders, diplomats, and explorers, interacting with a mosaic of cultures along the way. When they finally emerged onto the shores of the Caspian Sea, they had entered a new world, the sprawling, sophisticated civilization of the medieval Islamic caliphates. For these Norsemen, accustomed to the harsh, cold north, the bustling markets, fragrant spices, and intricate architecture of Persia and Baghdad must have seemed like a vision from another realm. Some came for wealth, hoping to return home with chests of silver dirhams. Others sought the thrill of battle in a foreign land. But what they discovered there, in the heart of a civilization so different from their own, would challenge their beliefs, reshape their identities, and ultimately seal their fate. They were no longer just Vikings. They were becoming something new. To understand how Norse warriors ended up serving Muslim emirs, we first have to look at their long-standing tradition as elite mercenaries. For centuries, the most famous of these were the Varangian Guard, the personal bodyguards of the Byzantine Emperor in Constantinople. These Norsemen were renowned for their loyalty, their imposing height, and their terrifying battle axes. They were the most feared and respected soldiers in the Eastern Roman Empire, but Constantinople was a crossroads, a gateway to the East. And for some Varangians, the lure of even greater riches and adventure in the lands beyond Byzantium was irresistible. Lured by promises of incredible pay and the chance for glory, these Vikings ventured further south and east. They joined the armies of various Muslim rulers across Persia, Mesopotamia, and even as far as Baghdad. Arab and Persian chroniclers of the time wrote with a mixture of awe and apprehension about these Rusiya, as they called them. They described tall, fair-haired, powerfully built warriors who fought with a ferocity they had never witnessed. Armed with their great axes and long swords, they were a force of nature on the battlefield, turning the tide of conflicts for the emirs who could afford their services. But it wasn't just about the gold. In the shared danger of the shield wall and the quiet camaraderie around the campfire, a unique bond was forged. These warriors from the north, fighting under the green banners of Islam in the middle of the desert, formed a brotherhood that transcended culture and religion. They were Vikings, yes, but they were also soldiers of the Caliphate. The final chapter of Ingvar the Far-Traveled's Great Eastern Expedition is shrouded in mystery and tragedy. The Norse sagas which sing his praises tell a heartbreaking story. After reaching the lands of the Saracens, a terrible sickness swept through his ranks, a plague that claimed Ingvar and nearly all of his men. The sagas speak of a heroic but doomed campaign, ending not in a blaze of glory, but in a slow, agonizing defeat at the hands of an invisible enemy. The few survivors who managed the arduous journey back to Sweden brought with them only tales of loss. However, contemporary Georgian and Persian accounts paint a slightly different, though no less tragic, picture. These sources suggest that Ingvar and his men became entangled in the complex power struggles of the region. They fought as mercenaries in a dynastic war, a foreign conflict whose intricacies they likely never fully understood. They fought with their characteristic bravery, but they were thousands of miles from home, in a land with unfamiliar diseases and a brutal climate. Wounded, exhausted, and decimated by illness, their legendary expedition simply vanished into the annals of a distant war. Whether by plague or by sword, the result was the same. The great Viking warriors who had traveled so far died under the desert sun, their dreams of gold and glory buried with them in the foreign sands, far, far from the fjords of home. They became a legend, a cautionary tale whispered from one generation to the next. So, what remains of Ingvar and his lost warriors? How do we know this incredible story is true? The most powerful evidence lies etched in stone, back in their Swedish homeland. Scattered across the countryside are 26 memorial rune stones, known as the Ingvar stones. They were raised by the families of the men who never returned. These aren't typical Viking memorials. Their inscriptions are filled with sorrow and pride, telling the story of sons, brothers, and husbands who traveled east with Ingvar and died in the land of the Saracens. Some of these stones are even carved with intricate patterns that show clear artistic influence from the East, and a few bear symbols like crescent moons that hint at the profound cultural and spiritual exchange that took place. These silent, weathered monuments are a testament to a forgotten chapter of history. They prove that the connections between the Norse and Islamic worlds were deeper and more complex than we ever imagined. The story of Ingvar and the Viking mercenaries reminds us that history is never just black and white. It's a rich tapestry of interwoven cultures, of warriors who became explorers, and of men who found brotherhood in the most unexpected of places. The Viking who became a Muslim warrior left behind no kingdom, no treasure hoard. He left something far more enduring, a legend that defied empires and crossed the boundaries of faith, a silent whisper of a time when the world was far more connected than we think. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the forgotten corners of history. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button, subscribe to Silent Warriors Studio, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next episode. We're dedicated to uncovering the warriors and histories you've never heard of. See you next time.